So as an overall story, the Sailor Moon anime and the manga are pretty similar. Each story arc faces the same villains, and we kind of follow the same plot points to reach the same ending, and that's about where the similarities end. The reason is largely because of timing. The manga was being produced at roughly the same time as the anime was. Sailor V was actually produced first, and then when Toei approached Naoko about expanding it into an anime, she came up with the idea for Sailor Moon. With both Sailor V and Sailor Moon being produced at the same time and written at the same time, though not on the same schedule, Sailor V was a little more inconsistent. The anime kind of had to do that thing that does where you get some filler episodes between all the plot points. In the case of Sailor Moon, the anime was able to do with all that filler what the manga did not. It let the characters breathe and grow and develop naturally. If you've ever read the Sailor Moon manga, you know that the story is really fast-paced. We kind of just go from one thing to the other. There's not a lot of downtime. So what the anime did was took the little personality quirks that we were told about in the manga and expanded on them in the anime to make three-dimensional characters. It wasn't just with the heroes either. The villains were expanded into actually full-fledged three-dimensional characters rather than the here's a named person and now they're dead by the end of the act. We saw the villains' motivations, their personal struggles, villains going undercover, villains having a chance at redemption. In the manga, most of the named villains, like the generals and the Black Moon family, they just were like, here's a person, they have a design, and they have a name, and now they're dead. The anime took that idea of here's a villain and now it's dead and replaced with the Monster of the Day formula that we're all familiar with, and we got to use the villains as kind of the mini-bosses before the big final showdown. As I said earlier, the story follows the same overarching plot of girl gets magical powers, girl fights villain, girl saves the world. What happens in between and what's changed are all the little details. The anime had 5 seasons to correspond with the 5 story arcs: Dark Kingdom, Black Moon, Infinity, Dream, and Stars, or as I like to call it, the Sailor Wars. It sounds so much better than Stars, and it actually conveys the weight of how heart-wrenching the story arc is. The main difference in the first story arc is the hunt for the silver crystal. In the anime, we had 7 rainbow crystals that were carried by 7 rainbow crystal carriers. The girls in Tuxedo Common were both fighting to find the rainbow crystals before the enemy, but they weren't really sure if they were on the same side. So eventually Zoisite managed to get all of the crystals through sheer dumb luck and treachery, but they wouldn't activate until he managed to try and kill Tuxedo Common, at which point Sailor Moon was like, oh no, I realized I'm in love with you, and crystal tears appeared, and that was actually the silver crystal, and she transformed to Princess Serenity, and then the rainbow crystals all were like, zoom, and came in with the silver crystal, and ta-da, there's the big reveal that she's the princess. Now the manga had none of that, and Zoisite was actually dead by the time the Princess Serenity appeared. The anime murdered the Senshi one by one by like the most horrifying ways, kind of off screen but not really, and in the manga in the final battle it's kind of unclear if they actually died and were revived by the silver crystal or if they were just unconscious for most of this. It's, you know, it's kind of like The anime also did a mind wipe on everybody and pressed the big reset button and set everything back in time to before the Dark Kingdom attack. The reason for this happening is because Sailor Moon, alone and dying in the North Pole after defeating Metalia, made a wish on the silver crystal and then cosmic reset button. The manga also had this awesome holy sword they used to protect the princess in the past life, and it had a different use in the present day, mostly to assist Sailor Moon in a murder-suicide with Tuxedo Common. I'm not making that up. So let's get the elephant in the room out of the way now. The Makaiju arc did not happen in the manga. That was pure filler. It was made up to let Naoko actually like get ahead. And I'm gonna dedicate a pretty big portion of another episode to this. But here's the other thing. Was the big elephant in the room that never happened in the manga: the goddamn breakup bullshit. That never happened at all. In fact, in the story arc, at one point, they're totally boning on the kitchen floor with their daughter in the next room, even though they had no idea that she was their daughter at the time, but you know, it happened off screen, but it happened. So the big plot point in the anime is that the Black Moon is coming back in time, not only to find Chibiusa and capture her, but to also disable the crystal points. So at each one of these 5 crystal points, there's some kind of energy source, and it's like, what's the big protection for Crystal Tokyo? So they think if they destroy them in the past, and they won't exist in the future, and then they can actually like take over and everything's gonna be peachy keen for the Black Moon family. In the manga story arc, we also meet Diana, who is Chibiusa's kitten and Luna and Artemis's daughter. Diana plays a pretty vital role in this, not only upping the adorableness by like 1,000, but also she takes Pluto's place for a little while at the Gates of Time while Pluto goes off and fights. In the anime, a really gross thing happens. After Demando kidnaps her and molests her, basically, she doesn't fight her way out of capture. Tuxedo Kamen comes in and rescues her. And this kind of like seals the deal on their rekindled romance. In the manga, she rescues herself and then she has to go save her daughter and her boyfriend from being brainwashed and kidnapped by the Black Moon. Sailor Pluto in the anime is kind of this, oh, here's a new person. In the manga, Sailor Pluto takes a much more active role in this arc. She is revealed to have feelings for King Endymion, and just before Demando touches the 2 silver crystals together, she stops time and dies because she's not allowed to stop time, and the penalty is her life. And Pluto's death also triggers Chibiusa's awakening as a Sailor Senshi, which in turn releases the power to let her actually grow up. Chibiusa visibly grows from like a 6-year-old girl to like 12, 11 something, early preteen. And this is like in seconds. Like one page, she's 6, the next page, she's 12. Another cool thing that happened in the manga, Tuxedo Kamen actually got his own attach, so he could like fight enemies and whatnot. Tuxedo the Smoking Bomber, I don't know why they didn't put that in the anime. Maybe they decided they had too much stock footage as it is and didn't need another thing. Oh, and everybody died at some point in the manga, and then the Silver Crystal fixed it. And in the future, if I don't mention that, assume that it probably happened at one point, because it probably did. Next week we look at the final 3 seasons, and after that we move on to characters. So see you next time, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching.